Hey, good looking. I'm so glad that you came to my kitchen today to sit there and see what we all have cooking. Grab a hold of that vine, swing right on in my kitchen, and let's get cooking. Good looking. Well, hey there, good looking. I'm so glad that you came to my kitchen today because you know what? I have another delicious cheese recipe that I want to share with you all. So let's get cooking. Good looking. What you're gonna be needing, go ahead and get yourselves a saucepan out. You're gonna be needing your canning rings and of course canning lids, canning funnel. I don't have a debubbler out here yet or a jar lifter, but you're gonna be needing them. You're gonna be needing a ladle. I already sat there and said we're gonna be needing the saucepan. So I'm gonna be using that right away, so we'll put that off to the side. And then let's go right into the recipe. Oh yeah, you're gonna be needing, I'm putting mine all up into half pint jars, so I have my half pint jars back there. I have 6 tablespoons of powdered milk, 1 can of evaporated milk. I have some sriracha hot sauce. We're just gonna need a few dashes of that. I have half a teaspoon, but you can go all the way up to 1 teaspoon of the dehydrated minced garlic. I have 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of mustard, and then over here 4 tablespoons of butter. I have 1 pound of Velveeta cheese. I have 1/3 cup Parmesan cheese, and it's shredded. Don't go using that stuff that's in that little can with the little green cover. No. Use freshly grated Parmesan cheese. I have some cheddar cheese here, and I have some Monterey Jack cheese right here. So I'm gonna grab my can of evaporated milk. Now be sure to sit there and shake yours all up really good. So I'm gonna finish shaking mine, and I'm gonna open it up, and we're gonna add it right into our saucepan. I'm also gonna take and cube up the 4 tablespoons of butter that I need. I'm gonna add the butter, and then here's the 1 can of evaporated milk. Go ahead, add all that. We're gonna sit there, add the 6 tablespoons of powdered milk. The 1/2 teaspoon of dried minced garlic. The 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. 1 teaspoon of dried ground mustard. Now I'm going to take this over to the stove, and I'm going to heat it up until the butter is all melted and we can somewhat have it all mixed into the evaporated milk. So we'll be back when we get to that point. Here's the sauce over at the stove. Now we're just gonna keep stirring it. Like I said, we're not gonna bring it up to a boil or anything. At most, you're gonna bring it up to a simmer. So keep stirring it. The butter will melt, and that garlic is gonna start flavoring the sauce. And then we're gonna bring it back over to the counter. We're gonna add the hot sauce and our cheese. So I'm gonna continue to keep stirring this until all the butter melts and it's all nice and hot and creamy and at a great point where you want to melt all your cheese. I'm gonna bring the saucepan back over and we're gonna add the cheese. So here is our saucepan with the evaporated milk, our seasonings. Now we just have to add a few dashes of hot sauce. Now you control the degree of hotness where you want to take yours. Now if you have some lightweights like what I have, my husband doesn't like it as hot like I do. I'm going on the light side for him. So I'm going to stir in that hot sauce. And then I'm going to sit there, grab the sharp cheddar, add all that. We're going to add the Monterey Jack, add all that as well. We're going to add the ground up, or not ground up, shredded Parmesan. Give this all a good stir. Now, I'm gonna add a little bit of the Velveeta cheese, and I went ahead and I pre-chunked it. Well, that's too big. I'll break it up with a spatula. But we're gonna put a little bit of it in your pan at a time. Like I said, I'll get that with the spatula. Melt all your cheeses in that nice hot evaporated milk mixture. And then add a little bit more of the Velveeta cheese. Let that all melt in. And we're just gonna keep doing this, all the same process until all of our cheese here is all melted into this nice creamy mixture. So I'll be back when that magic all happens. Here is the garlic cheese sauce. All the cheeses have melted and we stirred it all up and mixed it all well together. Now, we're gonna sit there and ladle it into our half-pint canning jars, but we're gonna sit there and allow 1-inch headspace. So that would mean we would fill it up to this bottom ring. So I'm just gonna sit there and set that off to the side and go get another half pint. So, but before I go, we're gonna sit there and fill up this one. So I have my ladle. Grab some of our cheese sauce. Dump it into our jar. Remember, 1-inch headspace. And that's okay if you come across like a hunk of cheese that has not yet melted. It will melt in the hot water bath canner. Now we just need just a tad more. Now I'm gonna go get another jar and we'll be right back. I'm just gonna add a little baby bit more. So, yeah, that's more like it. I'm going to transfer my canning funnel over to my next jar. And I'm going to fill that one up along with all my other jars. So, when I have them all filled up, we'll be right back. I have 4 good pints, and I have probably enough left over in the saucepan for maybe not quite a 4-ounce jelly jar. So we're gonna be having that as a snack later on. Now, because this is mostly all liquid, and there's really no bubbles in it. But anyways, I'm gonna take my paper napkin, dip it down into the vinegar. And because I compromised this jar by grabbing it that way, I'm gonna sit there and not just only wipe the rim, but we're gonna come down here and wipe the side of the canning jar as well. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to go on and continue to wipe all the rims of our jar. We wiped our rims. Now I'm gonna grab, wow, talk about butterfingers. I'm gonna grab a canning lid. We're gonna place the canning lid on top of our canning jars. And then gonna wanna grab the canning ring And we're just gonna finger tighten the canning rings onto the canning jars. Now before I take these little lovely babies off to the pressure canner, anybody who's been watching me for a while knows I like to label my jars before they go into the pressure canner. So I'm gonna go ahead and label my jars. There you go, I have them all labeled. Now off to the pressure canner they go. Now we're gonna place them inside the pressure canner. We're gonna lock our covers on. We're gonna build pressure up inside the canner. We're then gonna sit there and allow our canners to vent through the peacock hole. And it's gonna vent for 10 minutes, no less than 10 minutes. Then we're gonna sit there and put the proper weight for your altitude and elevation. So if you're not sure of it, go ahead and give us Google search for your area, and Google will tell you what your elevation is. Otherwise, just go inside any ball book, and it should be right in the very beginning of the ball canning books. But for my area, it's 10 pounds of pressure. After I put my weight on, we build the pressure up inside the canner again. This time, the weight will sit there and start to rock and roll on top of the canner, which is normal. Now, we're gonna sit there. At that time, we're gonna start our timing process. But if you go below 10 pounds of pressure at any time, you're gonna have to start all the way in the beginning and start your timing process all over again. But we're gonna sit there and process these for 15 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure.
If you liked what you saw here today, please give me a thumbs up. Every thumbs up helps my channel out. And if you're not yet a subscriber, go up, hit that subscribe button, tap that little bell. That way you'll always be notified every time I do put out a new video. And as always, here's to happy canning, but better yet, happy eatins. Y'all come back now. You hear?